Design encompasses so many careers, graphic, commercial, and more. For me, I plan on going into advertising design for commercial. And yeah, I know that's stereotypically a bad thing. However, I didn't ask. On a more serious note, with so many known manipulative practices in the advertising industry, I plan on taking many of those walls down to practice on ethical advertising, one to protect my consumer and show them the benefits of whatever I advertise. I can't get to that, however, if I never make it to the field in the first place. That's where we get into education. For those of you watching at home, and those of you currently in the college field, the requirements for my field fall into the desired bachelor's degree of Bachelor's of Arts in Graphic Design for Advertising. Oakland University, at least currently my school of choice, along with many others, require typography, motion design, UI and UX design, digital illustration, package design, community design, entrepreneurial design, brand identity, and logo design. Now let me be clear, on a technicality, in most graphic design fields, education isn't strictly required per se, though many firms and agencies will require them, not to mention raising your tenure and, most importantly, helping you achieve the job position in the first place. Now I'll be the first to admit that I haven't gotten my feet very wet yet, as my education has mostly led me down getting my associate's degree in fine arts before I can ever make it to the meaty parts I want. But I can say from working with small YouTubers on logo development and having worked with the graphic design classes my college offers, I am so far and plan to continuously be enamored by the concepts of the field brings, though I pray that I can work on more conceptual and artistic works so I can avoid the absolute appalling design philosophies, such atrocities like corporate Memphis, which, if you guys know, is a design philosophy devoid of life. Speaking of which, corporate Memphis came from the style's resemblance to the common design philosophies of the 1980s, designs of the Memphis group, not in name alone. The connections of the stylizations are incredibly obvious. Blocks of color, oversized and unscaled geometry, and proportions akin to what a child would draw. Now I'll be the first to admit, plenty of companies out there, especially smaller businesses, still carry the life that many of these companies deserve. But as corporate philosophy grows, it becomes harder and harder to find those designs, another key aspect I hope to personally avoid when I enter the field. Getting back to business, it wasn't always like this. Design as a whole is a philosophy that has been created over hundreds of years, and only really mastered as of recently. Commercial design, or design and advertising as a concept, had always followed the philosophy of designing for the consumer. How to send a message, how to show a product without letting the consumer feel that they are being blatantly advertised to, and how to understand the consumer and the social and economical climate of the target audience to reach them. Before we had it all figured out, companies tried to understand and fit their consumers, oftentimes creating ads that, in some environments, have gone down in history. But as the consumer market has grown, target audiences encompass more and more people. Advertisers and companies have squeezed every bit of life from what was once original concepts to sell the most product, being the most stereotypically inoffensive as possible. And as a consequence, us consumers never truly get the feelings and experiences that we used to with advertisements of days past. Now, when I mean days past, I refer to more recent history. As we all know, graphic design and advertising as a whole has been established for generations. It's not documented enough to see the true roots and how far they go back, though. More so generalization of historical events to gather a greater understanding. What we do know is that it originated during the 1800s as consumer culture grew by the masses, as the need to stand out and show the products to a consumer market became a necessity to survive in a growing market. This growth led to the creation of many iconic companies we know of today, brands like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Pillsbury, Jack Daniels, and more. The reasons I choose these companies as a standout comes from their logos. While each of these companies have modernized the logos for modern audience, it still stands that their general design philosophies have stayed the same, a record of the times they were made in, before we streamlined those designs, when products still had life. It's that era of design, that sense of exploration, identity, and life I hope to bring back to the industry as I enter the field myself. If I ever make it. AI. Up to this point, we've been speaking on design philosophies and history. Because of that, I feel it would be wrong of me to ignore modern history in the making. Now, I can imagine everyone listening to this is tired of constantly hearing about AI, constant news of one issue after another that it causes, fixing very few as it leaves wakes of destruction in its path. For the point of this video though, I'll be sticking to generative AI, or like I like to call it, GIA. Get it assassinated. And it's probably no surprise to anyone listening that I have a very negative connection to AI, as I, like you, have had to constantly have it shoved down my throat, with the looming threats it poses causing me and you no more comfort. Generative AI makes even the most lifeless, human-made art feel as if it was crafted by artisans over years of grueling labor. Said generative AI is exploiting the art we as people create, only feeding it back to us after it recreates it. It's hard to see, as we have split ourselves to two sides. Like a battlefield, those that wish to take our careers fully, believing that it as a whole maintains more value than we do, as people, and those like me and you, who fight for culture and the continuation of human growth and expression through art. Now, while I think it's important, what's even more important is getting perspectives from people actually inside the field. Alright, everybody, I'm very pleased to introduce the Kruxman as part of our interview today, otherwise known as Devin Stockman. Actually a Mott grad of ours, so if you do or do not know him, it's a pleasure to have him on today.
Hi.
So, Devin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, about myself. Currently, I graduated from Mott. I majored in graphic design, and currently I'm more doing freelance. But I did work as a screen printer for a while, though.
As someone who's currently looking around, especially having been in the screen print and trying to get into some new fields of work, what would you say are some things that any student currently graduating or getting into the actual industry should focus on when trying to actually enter the field, especially for the workforce?
I think focus on your strengths, kind of. Know what you want to do, and I guess branch out from that in a way. I guess that's a good answer.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for things that people should probably put together before they start applications?
Well, there are classes at Mott Design Portfolio that kind of get you prepared and ready for doing that stuff like that, like cover letters and a portfolio and a website. So definitely, of course, if you're doing those classes, which you are going to do those classes, those are going to help you get yourself out there.
Oh, for sure. And as someone, especially who's been graduating, kind of getting around, what would you say, especially because I know you talked about kind of trying to get out into the field and creating an idealized image, what do you say some things that kind of help you stand out, especially when trying to not blend in with the crowd, actually find that thing you want to do?
I'm not sure. I guess just find a style that kind of suits what you want to do and just be different than the norm in a way.
100%.
I don't know. Yeah.
And as someone who's been around for a while, I currently know that you've been doing some Comic-Con work. How's that been going for you?
That's fun. I've been having a great time with that. That's where my Kruxman stuff comes in, not Devin Stockman comes in. So when I do Krux stuff, that sounds weird actually if I say it like that. That version of me for Comic-Con, I get to do more illustration-wise stuff and more things that I enjoy, like video games, anime, and TV shows, where I get to draw characters and things, and people see my stuff and go, "Oh, that's so cool!" And they buy stuff from me. I get following, and I get like publicity stuff, I guess, in a way. But I've had a fun time doing that, and I really hope to keep doing more of that stuff.
That's awesome. I know I'm personally a big fan of your work. I've always been a large supporter, and I think it's really cool that you get to do all those things that you've kind of wanted to do. How would you say it is trying to get into those fields? I know not even just for the professional side, but for Comic-Con, there's a lot of work that has to go into it. What are some things that you have to do when getting ready?
Well, it's one I would say in a long site, know your inventory, know what you have, know your costs and everything, and of course, uh, keep a track record of everything you've made and purchased. And on our design or art standpoint, uh, in my view, make sure you have like art that you're comfortable with selling, or I would say in particularly is if you put it out there, someone would be like, "Well, that's so cool," and buy that. I guess not in a a-hole sense really, but sometimes I think you need to take the time and practice your style and your artwork until you feel like you are strong enough to put it out there and sell it.
Oh yeah, I
And
completely agree.
yeah, and with Con, you have a booth, of course, and you want to make that booth design be engaging and not, in my opinion, the less crowded or busy the booth is, the more I'm going to walk up to it.
100%. And especially when it comes to people walking up to your booth, currently there's going to be a lot of students both focusing on freelance work, which I think Comic Con could be kind of more towards that freelance style, but also there's going to be a lot of people going into their 10-year and larger job programs. But to focus more towards that freelance, how would you say you find a fair price for your work?
Um, I'm not really sure about that one. I mean, I've had a larger community I'm a part of that's have assisted me and helped me out find really my cost for what I really should be selling things for. But I think it's really comes down to how long you spent on making it and the cost of really overall, like the paper and because time you put into it is really a good way to make your cost.
Oh, yeah. And I felt that was an important question to ask, especially because you've been around other people. Sometimes you see some of those more pretentious side where they're like, oh, $3,000. But plenty of times I think that students don't value the actual price their art should be worth. And I think it's good to kind of understand your own value. Which, when it comes to your own value, I know you mentioned printmaking. So that was going to be more of your career side, and I know you're going into some other stuff, but what are some kind of designs, different jobs you've worked, and how did you get into them, your favorite parts about them, and especially what you'd like to do again, having had those experiences now?
Well, I mean, I worked and like my all my jobs or just my like design like jobs.
Yeah, design.
Okay, so I mostly for the past year and a half I worked as a screen printer for a t-shirt company. As more of an assistant, I worked as an assistant screen printer behind a more like a master, so like a apprenticeship kind of way, and that was fun to do. I actually really liked learning how to do that, and my position changed. And I wasn't screen printing as much anymore, so I kind of moved on from that one. And currently, I'm more in the freelance side of doing designs, commission pages stuff for people, and Comic Con stuff, which I like that too. But I would like to go back and do screen printing again because I really, really like screen printing.
I know that's been a big passion of yours. I've seen a lot of your screen prints as well, so it's not hard to see how much you enjoy that side of your work, especially from some of the designs you've shown off. And while we're in this part of the interview, I think it's super important to say I'm going to have all of his links down in the description, so if there's anything you want to do to find his work, it is genuinely amazing, and I'd highly recommend giving him the time of day. You can see so many awesome things on his side. And when it comes back to that freelance side, are there any jobs specifically that have stood out to you that you just really got into and you're proud of?
Like freelance designs I've done or work I've done.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. On my website, if you link that page on the design tab, there's at the very top of it. This is more like I was still in school while I did this actually. Uh, it was a fraternity. Kind of, I knew a guy that knew a guy, and I kind of got in the contact with them and making things for them. So if the fraternity up in the Michigan Tech College, fraternity called Theta Tau, they kind of like the president wanted me to redo some designs for these. It's like kind of like hockey, but not like hockey. But they wanted me to redo these like hockey designs for a jersey. So I went through and I remade these designs and updated them for branding, so they can. And then on my page I have a picture of the finished design. And it was a fun job to do. I've also, for family, I've done things for just like making book covers and in the book as well, designed as well. I've been doing just kind of small things with friends, family, and of course, back when I was still in school, I did designs for that fraternity.
That is genuinely awesome to hear. Again, I know you pour your heart and soul into a lot of your work, so a lot of people out there, it's good to see that they have a lot of appreciation for that work. I know that, again, you mentioned trying to find that career of yours, though, outside of just freelance. How would you say the job field is right now, especially for people trying to enter that side?
I'd say it's a bit tough. I mean, I've applied to a bunch of different positions. But I think it's really just standing out and kind of giving a wow factor in a way.
Oh.
I'm not really sure how to really explain that.
Yeah, no, I think that wow factor, honestly, even if it doesn't make sense to you, I think it makes sense to a lot of us. Having that personality matters so much. Well, honestly, I've really appreciated your time today. You've been incredibly helpful. Again, I am so grateful to have you on. It's been awesome. Though I think it's important to say, do you have any last minute things you'd love to say to the audience, especially for a lot of these students out here who will be listening in?
I guess just have fun, make designs, do art, make what you want to make. Of course, in school you have to listen to the instructions still, but on your own terms, just make what you want, have fun with it, and just enjoy it. Because it's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Art is expression. If you don't allow people to express themselves, then art has no meaning, I think.
Yeah, and make sure to check me out.
Yes, please do. Everyone who watches this video either online after its post date or in class, highly recommend checking them out. Again, amazing stuff. I know you won't regret it. But yeah, thank you very much, Devin. It's been a pleasure having you on today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. So after everything I've talked about, the history, philosophy, the mistakes, and the lifeless trends AI has created, you might wonder why I still want to walk into this industry at all. The truth is simple, because I love art, and I've always loved the concepts of sharing and selling products, whatever they may be. Advertising isn't going to go away, design isn't going away, and AI definitely isn't going to go away either. But what can come back is intention, the human part of design that understands culture, emotion, a concept I feel is so important, even if only in something small to preserve everything our forefathers made. I don't want to enter this field to repeat what's already broken. I want to enter it to challenge it, to bring back personality, risk, color, soul, all the things that made design worth studying in the first place, what made me enamored with all the concept that it presented, both to me as a kid and who I am today. And I don't know if I can. I am only one person. But history teaches us, change isn't made when you follow the same concept everyone else does. Only when you force your way through the doubt, the challenges, the pains, and the feelings of defeat can you make through it. And I want to be that voice that yells out when everyone else conforms, to fight for what I love and to do something I know for myself is fulfilling to the life I want to leave. So, yes, even with the noise, even with the pressure, and with that anticipatory anxiety kicking in every day from AI developments, I still want to plant my feet down. And, honestly, I can't wait.